In our lives, we have lots of choices to make every day. Some of those choices are quite easy, like what to have for breakfast. Some of them are much more difficult, and it's not always easy to do the right thing. We're going to look at some people from the Bible who had some difficult choices to make. The story happens thousands of years ago in the time of King Nebuchadnezzar. He was a powerful king with a big army, and whenever they invaded a country, they would take away all the good things that they found. So when they invaded Judea, they took away the treasure, and they also took away some of the young people back to Babylon, where they were going to be trained to serve the king. They had to learn the Babylonian language, how to read and write. They were given new names, and they were also given some special food so that they would grow healthy and strong. But Daniel and his 3 friends, Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego, had a difficult choice to make. You see, they knew that that food had been offered to the gods in Babylon, and because they served the real God, they knew that eating it was the wrong thing to do. But if they chose not to, they were going to get in big trouble. But they made the right choice, and God was really pleased with them. Sometime later, King Nebuchadnezzar came up with a plan. He decided to build a gold statue 30 meters tall. That's like you and 20 of your friends standing on each other's shoulders. Then he called all the leaders together from all over the country and explained what was going to happen. He said, when the musicians start to play, as soon as you hear the music, you have to bow down and you have to worship my statue. And anybody who doesn't is going to be thrown into a fiery furnace. And that's what happened. The people all came together, the musicians played, and everyone bowed down to the statue. Well, almost everyone. Because Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego didn't bow down. Like I said, they followed God, and they knew it was wrong to bow down and worship this statue, so they made the choice not to. Everyone else was bowing down, they were standing up, so of course people noticed. And some of them went to the king and they said, "Your Majesty, Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego disobeyed your orders. They didn't bow down." The king was furious. He called them to him and said, "Is this true?" And he gave them one more chance to do what he'd commanded. "And remember," he said, "if you don't, you'll be thrown into the fiery furnace. Do you really think there's any God who could help you?" And Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego said something amazing. They said, "Your Majesty, we believe that our God can save us. But even if he doesn't, we will not bow down to your statue." Well, that made the king even more angry. He had the furnace made 7 times hotter than before. Then they were tied up and thrown into the flames. The furnace was so hot, the guards who carried them there even got burned up. The king was there watching what was going on. Suddenly he jumped to his feet and he said to the people around them, "Weren't there 3 men that we threw into that furnace?" "Of course, Your Majesty. Why are you asking?" And the king said, "Because I can see 4 men in the flames." Everyone gathered round, and the king was right. In the furnace, they could see Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego walking around. They weren't tied up, and they weren't getting hurt by the flames. And there was another person with them in the furnace. You see, God was right there with them, protecting them. The king called them out. "Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, come on out." And they did. And everyone wanted a closer look. It was amazing. Their hair was not burnt. Their clothes were not burnt. There wasn't even a smell of smoke on them. The king said, "Praise the God of Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego, who rescued them. They risked their lives rather than worship any other god." And the king sent a message through his whole kingdom to tell everyone what God had done. Now, we don't know why Daniel wasn't there at that time, but he also had some difficult choices to make. Later on, when King Darius was king, he made a law that people could only pray to him. Well, Daniel knew that was wrong, and he chose to keep praying to God. Because of that, Daniel was thrown into a den full of lions. But as with Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego, God protected Daniel because he made the right choice. Now, in our lives, we might not be threatened with fire or lions, but we will have to make choices. We'll have to learn how to choose the right thing, especially what God wants. And when we make those good choices, God knows, and God is pleased, and he wants to help us.